Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Biblical Bookworm. My name is Elizabeth, and today I'll be talking about the book The Four Loves by C.S. Lewis. The book was published in 1960 by C.S. Lewis, who was an author and lay theologian who converted from atheism to Christianity in his 30s. And in this book, he explores the nature of love from a Christian and philosophical perspective. C.S. Lewis explains that the ancient Greeks had four different words for love, which were storghi, philia, eros, and agape. So love is not only what we nowadays often reduce it to, which is romantic love or eros, but there's also affection, friendship, and charity. And I actually discovered and read this book because Father Mike talks about it in several of his videos, or even in one book, I think. He seems to be a fan of C.S. Lewis. Anyways, I would like to start this video with a quote from the book that I've been thinking about a lot since I read it. The alternative to tragedy, or at least to the risk of tragedy, is damnation. The only place outside heaven where you can be perfectly safe from all the dangers and perturbations of love is hell. I will get back to this quote with more context at the end of this video when I talk about the fourth love, charity, but I think the quote works with all the loves in this video, and I feel like it's really worth thinking about. Before touching upon the four loves, C.S. Lewis makes a distinction between need love and gift love, the former being, for example, the love of a child for their mother, and an example for the latter would be a mother's love for her child. In the book, he recognizes that this categorization is too simple, and he introduces a third form of love to the reader, which is appreciative love. And that is loving or appreciating something just for its existence. So, for example, appreciating a beautiful flower. Again, those three loves are not part of the four Greek loves I mentioned at the beginning of this video. They are part of the first chapter in this book. And after that introductory chapter, he starts describing the four loves. The first love C.S. Lewis writes about is storghi, which is equivalent to affection. That affectionate love is the broadest and most Christian one, and it is also independent of our taste, so one could say it's the least discriminating one. An example would be when people are put together by chance, like that's the case in families. C.S. Lewis adds that this type of love can exist alone, but is often found in the other loves. According to him, it's responsible for 90% of all solid and lasting human happiness. The next love C.S. Lewis gives insight to is philia, which would be friendship in English. The author recognizes that few people think of friendship as love. He describes friendship as the least biological, organic, instinctive, gregarious, and necessary, the least natural of loves. C.S. Lewis explains that true friendship, like the friendship between David and Jonathan in the Bible, are almost a lost art. He explains that friendship is a love that must exclude, as it emerges when two or more people have something in common with each other, which they don't share with other people. C.S. Lewis also writes how when someone wants friends, it's not enough to just want friends, but that one needs some other interest. So basically the advice is, if you want to find friends, develop or find an interest that you then can have in common with someone else. According to the author, friendship has something divine to it, which, as he says, might be the reason why friendship is hardly ever used in the Bible to represent the divine, as, quote, we might mistake the symbol for the thing symbolized. When God represents himself as a father, few people would actually think that he is our physical father. Even though, as C.S. Lewis points out, friendship has divine character, there are some dangers connected with it, like cliquiness, anti-authoritarianism, and pride. Quote, I said above that in a good friendship, each member often feels humility towards the rest. He sees that they are splendid and counts himself lucky to be among them. But unfortunately, the they and them are also, from another point of view, we and us. Thus, the transition from individual humility to corporate pride is very easy. The third love is eros, or romantic love, which C.S. Lewis defines as the state of being in love. And here he stresses that romantic love is not congruent with sexuality, which he calls Venus, by the way. He explains that there can be sexuality without being in love and vice versa, and he differentiates between the two by saying that Venus is wanting a woman basically no matter which one, and romantic love, so eros, is wanting a particular woman herself. So, in romantic love, C.S. Lewis explains that the man cares more for the fact that she is herself than the fact that she is a woman. The last love C.S. Lewis talks about is agape, which could be translated with charity, so selfless love, which is love that exists no matter the circumstances. That is also the love Christians are called to achieve, as charity is the love God loves us with. Charity, according to C.S. Lewis, is the love that can suffer the greatest loss. And getting back to the quote at the beginning of the video, to love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will certainly be wrung and possibly be broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give your heart to no one, not even an animal. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in the casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. The alternative to tragedy, or at least to the risk of tragedy, is damnation, the only place outside of heaven where you can be perfectly safe from all the dangers and perturbations of love is hell. Now, let's get to my opinion on the book. The book offers some very interesting insights into the 4 different loves and also explains what those are pretty well, in my opinion. What I didn't like that much was the whole first part before C.S. Lewis got to the 4 loves. In my opinion, it was a bit confusing and unnecessary. And also, depending on your taste, that might be a problem or not. But in my opinion, the book has little practical application. And the only exceptions would be his advice on how to make friends, and that to avoid the dangers of love would be to choose damnation. So in total, I give the book 9 out of 10 stars. That's been it for today. See you next week. God bless and bye!